Hello there, folks. I'm Dan Brown from sortofinteresting.com, and today you are joining me for a beautiful boat life vlog. And this is going to be different to my normal style of videos, as apart from that opening clip there, you're not going to see my face again in this video, as far as I can remember at least. Anyway, you lucky things. This is a video that's going to follow us as we take a little boat trip now at sunset that some of you may have seen the real-time version of, and we're going to moor in a beautiful place overnight in the middle of nowhere. Then we're going to head up to Ellesmere. We're only a few miles from Ellesmere now, passing the pub Mad Jack's on our right-hand side here, and then we're just going to enjoy a few days milling around on the outskirts of Ellesmere before I took the boat back into the marina there. And really, I think you'll be amazed at how different the weather will be in only a day or two's time, considering what you're seeing on the screen now. So many of you may have seen my 2 real-time boat videos of this trip, which was entirely just uninterrupted video footage from a GoPro that I had at the very front of the boat. So because of that, I wanted this whole video is all about being shot from the actual POV angle and just showing you boat life as it actually happens and the actual real thing. No cameras on tripods or anything. You can look around like this and see the sheep and the countryside. And well, let's get really real and actually hear it too for a moment. I'm not sure if that's the sort of thing that people want to hear, but many people have been saying I need to leave some just no music, no editing, just actual natural sounds in my real-time boating videos. But because of vibrations and stuff at the front of the boat, it makes it a bit tricky, because instead of beautiful birds and sounds like that, you've just got random things rattling away. Anyway, I think the important thing about this trip and being able to talk about it properly here is, again, just looking and being able to enjoy this amazing scenery and all of this amazing sort of, ooh, it's nature, and oh, look at this old brick bridges and traditional stereotypical British countryside, I suppose, in many respects. But because we're just slightly outside of the normal cruising hours, I can't think it's probably coming up to maybe at 9 o'clock or in between 9 and 10 maybe at the latest at this particular point. You'll have to forgive me for not having that figure off the top of my head, sorry. But because we're just slightly outside of that normal cruising range, there's just nobody around. You're passing a few boats moored up here and there, and again, you have things like Whittington Wharf, which was one of the first places on the trip out and stuff. And, well, it's just amazing. And this is what I will keep saying and say forever. This is what I love about being able to live somewhere like this. That because you're not just seeing these places as a person passing through on a day out or on holiday or something like that, when obviously everybody else is out and about and stuff. You get to see these places in all weather conditions, some better than others, I'll say that much. You can see we're passing through the Frankton Basin here, and we're looking down towards the Frankton Locks, which will drop you onto the Montgomery Canal and take you down to Maysbury at the moment. Although one day, who knows how the restoration goes, it may take you all the way to Welshpool. But let's just hold on to that thought for a few years at least. Anyway, I think I'll stop wittering at you and let's just enjoy another moment of actual noise. So you can see here as the evening's worn on and the sun has got lower and lower, we're actually now in the shadow, and we've only got the sun hitting the top half of the trees here. And I suppose this is really what I was talking about. Like, living in these sort of places rather than passing through once in a while, you get to see all of these different conditions, whether that's different lighting conditions, as I say, different weather, because the canal in the snow and in the winter months is a very different place to how it is here in the middle of summer. Believe me, as somebody who's seen a few winters on a boat, some snowy and some awfully wet, but this is something that I just think's amazing. This is where I ended up mooring up, a place I hadn't moored up before, but as you can see, I mean, just beautiful scenery through the window. Only a matter of maybe half an hour or so cruising from Ellesmere, and yet in this bizarre sort of modern life mixed with the old world of narrowboating, we turn around, we've got a laptop with Netflix on it, connected to a little broadband box thing that has got one of the fastest internet connections that I've ever used ever. Literally compared to most of the land-based internet connections. And that's something that I think on returning to boat life and being more prepared, I suppose, to make this a proper comfortable home and spend the money to do that, and obviously spend the money on a bigger boat in the first place. That's something, that idea of this weird old-fashioned lifestyle where we're out here in these beautiful rural places and enjoying all of this sort of thing as if we're living in the 1930s or whatever, certainly at least the early parts of the 1930s. But at the same time now, I've got a far more comfortable boat than the little 30-foot boat that I used to live on. Well, as many of you know, I don't need to talk about the narrowboat Tilly area when I used to sleep on a sofa bed and stuff like that. I mean, that's mad when I think about it in hindsight. It still gets me. I've spent 1,000 nights of my life living on a tiny little boat, more than 1,000 nights in fact, sleeping on a sofa bed that I had to make into a bed and make the living room into a living room again when I woke up in the morning and stuff. But really, as I say, this is just what's so good and so nice, and returning to the narrowboat lifestyle and all of this sort of stuff, but doing it with a more sensible, grown-up attitude and outlook. I mean, it's 6 years almost between buying my first boat, then leaving boat life for 2 years, and then returning to boat life. But as I say, with this sensible attitude going, right, if this is going to be long term, it's got to be far more comfortable than the crazy life that I was living once upon a time. And I think that really, doing this little trip that I did, it wasn't a huge trip, I'm not sure if it was only about 16 miles or so, just revisiting some of the places that I used to absolutely love to moor up when I had narrowboat Tilly, and just spending a couple of nights here, a couple of nights there. It was an experience that it showed me how much I really love the canals, and how much boating and boat life to me really is all about the outdoors and this sort of stuff. And I think that's something that's probably shown through a lot in these videos, that even though there's so much for me to be doing on board, getting odd jobs done and all of that sort of stuff, well, this particular trip was happening, still so much of what I was doing and filming, and the majority of what I wanted to talk about and show you all was all of this, because I mean, it's just great. What a place to be. Well, my friends, we're just floating around here in neutral at the moment. Just take a look at where we are. Yet again, another random weekday morning, and this is the absolutely beautiful location that we are lucky enough to be beaming live from. Sorry about the vibrations of the rubbish I've got on the deck here. How fantastic is that? I mean, seriously, when I talk about loving Shropshire and loving the outdoors and all the rest of it, this is exactly the sort of thing that we're talking about. Just put a little bit of drive on. Oh, look at that, we're rocketing now. I'd say at the moment, how fast do you reckon we're travelling? If I try and get the boat and the siding shot there, do you reckon maybe 2 miles an hour, 3 miles an hour tops, I'd say? A lot slower than walking pace, to be fair. But as I say so many times, being able to wake up and start boating and travel through places like this, and well, you're waking up in somewhere like this to begin with. So that was that. I moored up at Ellesmere, just on the outskirts. You'll see where in just a second, but it's one of my iconic classic places that I spent a lot of time on Narrowboat Tilly, and it's where I actually spent my first nights on board Abel's Ark as well. So that was very nice. And as I say so many times with Ellesmere, it's such a busy place in the summer months. And on some occasions, like when I was looking for a boat earlier in the year, and that was only March, it's not like it was the middle of December or something like that, but I was out and about in Ellesmere quite a lot, looking at different boats, including Abel's Ark, and it was unbelievable how empty the place was outside of that peak season. And that's something that I'll cover in a future video, I'm sure. Oh yeah, of course, being somewhere like Ellesmere and mooring up around the Basin area, you do get some very close passing boats on occasions. This was, I think, 10 to 7 on one of the mornings. Again, I mean, look at that, what a beautiful thing. You can see here really as well, we've got boats moored up all over the place there, which by probably 9 o'clock, all of those boats had moved along and the place looked a lot emptier, although definitely not empty. So I'd moored up outside of the marina rather than going into the marina space that I'd paid for at this point, because I was scared basically. I was very nervous. I'd only gone into the marina and moored up once at this point, so I wanted to go in with either a family member or my friend on board. But then as different things happened, oh yeah, as you saw, because I was getting boxed in by the wind as well there, and the weather was turning, I thought, let's test out a new layout in the boat, which lasted literally less than a minute before it all got moved back together. But I think I'm just going to let you enjoy this sort of rainy, cosy boat setting before I pick up on my topic again. How nice is that, and how absolutely cosy is that little image of the candle and the fire reflected in the glass as we look out over a shadowy, darkening, wet, windy canal scene outside. So, as I say, I just didn't have the confidence to try going into the marina on my own without somebody else there, as I'd previously made a terrible attempt at my first mooring in the marina, and because I had a spot next to a really beautiful, immaculately painted boat, I certainly didn't want to damage their boat or anything like that. That was my main concern. And then, of course, for a few days we had weather like this. And of course, there was no way in a million years I was ever going to untie the boat and try and steer anywhere, yet alone around dozens and dozens of very nice privately owned boats in these conditions. But this was definitely one of those moments where it seemed that our amazing summer heatwave had come to an end. But unbelievably, since this particular blip in the weather system, it's actually been even hotter than it had been prior to this particular moment. And my goodness me, if you've watched any of these videos since I bought Abel's Ark a few months ago, then you'll know we've had some absolutely beautiful weather. Anyway, please do let me know your thoughts on this style of video. I hope you've enjoyed this little trip. I know it's been different to my normal stuff, but I really wanted to do just a bit of a POV sort of video. And here we are looking at Ellesmere Basin in the sunset. This is actually a video clip. This isn't a still image I'm panning across. That's just how calm and still and peaceful the environment was there. And well, as I sit down here, writing some replies to all your wonderful comments on YouTube, I suppose I'll say, as I say, please do let me know what you think of this style of video. I think it probably would need more structure now I've edited this particular set of clips together with some sort of basic idea of where the video clips were going to go, but Then again, you've seen exactly what this was really like. I did a lot of tinkering around in the boat when the wet weather came in, and did some absolutely beautiful boating and wandering around in the countryside when the wet weather wasn't there. Anyway, thank you so much for joining me. Please do consider checking out my short books available for the Kindle, or the paperback book that's a collection of some of my shorter books, all about my previous boat life, living on board Narrowboat Tilly. It really does mean a lot, and it really does help me out in terms of, well, just keeping the lights on this YouTube channel and all of the online random postings that I do. Anyway, thank you so much. Please consider checking those out. You'll find links to the books and all of my social media stuff that you should also feel free to add me on in the video description, or visit narrowboatbooks.com to go to my Amazon page. Visit sortofinteresting.com, where I am actually trying to post some interesting, decently written little articles and posts there these days. And well, just until the next time, my friends, have an absolutely fantastic day. Keep it interesting, keep it boat worthy, and of course, farewell.